you know, he's going to be
Okay, we're good. Oh, we got to cross that off.
Yeah, that's okay. I am making just a little video.
Yes. You got on your phone? Did you know?
This is John's phone.
I had a friend, I think, on that one.
So this is for Marcia and whoever else was not able to be here in person today.
Okay.
We are at this gorgeous garden.
Is it live?
Yeah, it's a video. It's just a video.
Are you going to send it to them?
No, we're going to send it to them.
Okay.
Like Marcia, who's in California, and some other people.
Oh, 6 degrees of separation.
So I think John is gonna talk a bit.
Okay. Oh, like how, like...
That's what you go. You can just walk. Oh, you're not going to film us, are you? Yes. No. This is for Mark.
It's a nice hat. Uh-oh, hey Danny, we're on camera.
Hi, Danny. These are all of Zahara's beloveds, right? In this beloved place.
Hello. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, everybody. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming. I mean, this couldn't be more of a perfect place for this. I mean, it's just got all the elements that Zahara really loved. I mean, open air, plants, spices, everything.
Children.
And of course, the great community that loved her so much. So, John was really the instigator, and he is an instigator, as we all know, in getting this together. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Steve Coleman, who really helped to provide this space, well, did provide the space. He's going to tell you a little bit about it. So come on over, Steve.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you all so much for being here. We've never had a gathering like this before. We had talked with Z a lot about the site, and Eric had done some things with the kids here, but never quite got to what we really wanted to do, and so this could be kind of a beginning of that, and so I appreciate your being here. This is kind of a community miracle. It's really a symbol of the power that we all have, even when we think we don't have any, to be the change we want to see and to make the world a little bit better, one little forgotten green space at a time. This had been a forgotten, blighted, dumped on site that was so bad that people were afraid if there was any change, it would only be worse. And it's really sad when we get to that point, and we get that way about our lives and our communities and our country and our planet. And this is our little piece of heaven. So we're really glad that you're here. It had been a dump site for rubble and vacant, abandoned cars and things people didn't want to think about, and crime. Wow. The group I'm with, Parks and People, heard from so many people in the community who wanted to breathe life into this space. We thought, well, this is kind of like a park, even though it wasn't really a public space. And so we worked with the kids in the neighborhood to just start making little tiny gardens, little tile mosaic paths through the garbage. And eventually we were able to acquire it and to transform it 9 years ago. And the really exciting thing now is that this is kind of a model. It's kind of just a little tiny sample of what we could be doing with the earth. So it was a sort of traditional community garden, but now it's not. Now it's a year-round, well, sort of getting there with the year-round part. Got a little house here. It's a farm. It's a collaborative farm. And by switching to that collaborative approach where anyone can come in on any Saturday and help grow and help harvest and then share food with people experiencing homelessness, and do that all in this ecologically, biodynamic way using permaculture, where we're restoring nature at the same time as restoring the human community. And the person who leads that is right here, Kate Tully, who's an agroecologist. She's the ringer who actually knows how to do this stuff. But anyway, we're just really honored to be here and to be thinking of Zahara, you know, and excited about, this has been a space, this is a stage, everything here is like mini, you know, we got a mini greenhouse, mini stage, and mini farm. But the things that happen here haven't been so many, you know, we've had film premieres and spoken word, we've worked with Bloom Bars, we use this for job training, we've had field trips, you know, where people, they don't have to go all the way out in the exurb somewhere to get to a farm, they can come right here. We don't have cows and chickens, but, you know.
Not yet.
You could.
Not yet, yeah. Yeah. We did have a beehive, still a little trouble with keeping those hives going. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I just want to, in the spirit of activism, as Zahara I think would appreciate, I want to put one pitch out there, which is that the city recently slapped a $100,000 tax assessment on this site. At a time when we're saying we want community farming, when there is no green space in Columbia Heights, when we're not asking for anything from the city, and we need help. So if there's anyone, I don't know if there's anyone here who knows anything about advocacy, but you know. And just one other thing. We call the whole program, and there's a film about this site that has the name, that was the name that John and Aize called their beautiful community effort, Community Harvest, which carries on now. We've helped 60 sites all over the city, 30 of them growing food, 30 of them being healing gardens and so forth. So the film is called that, and this is very much, you know, I mean, I don't know if people realize the farm market in Columbia Heights began with a card table that John set up in front of the Park Center from Urban Oasis. So it's really great to have John back and have all of you here today. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. So I'm just going to mention briefly a couple things. Steve has generously offered 2 raised garden beds right over there, those 2, that are going to be Zahara's Spice Lady herb gardens. Yeah. Already painted. And we have, the kids have painted them up a bit, and we have some herbs and other plants that we are going to put in them tonight after we're done here. So,
And it's going to grow.
yes.
Wow.
So everybody's welcome to partake of that. I was just going to tell one quick story about Spice Lady, Zahara's novel. I don't know if you're all familiar with it, but I remember the moment that she came up with this idea. It was in the morning. She had woken up and just jumped up out of a dream and said, I had the weirdest dream. She said, I was dreaming that I was a superhero. And my job was to promote spices throughout the world. And that was how Spice Lady was born. And from there it went on for a long time, a number of manuscripts and drafts, and so many people read it, and she sought an agent and had an agent for a while, and didn't quite work out. But it's a really interesting book that has recipes at the end of every chapter. And some of us have tried those recipes, yeah, and they're very good.
And I made the gado gado from her recipe book, is on the table
Right.
over there.
Fantastic, fantastic. So it's so appropriate to have these spice gardens, because she was a spicy person. She loved spices and herbs and their healing properties. So I encourage everybody to put an herb in the garden bed over there and stop by when you're in the neighborhood and have a look. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to John.
Well, it's so good to see everybody. In Zahara fashion, I'm sure many of us read the tributes that poured into Zahara. One of my favorites was someone who said, I heard about this potluck poetry thing. I was had a little trepidation, and I worked up the courage, and this person said, and I went over there, and the party was set to start at 6, and I got there right on time, and no one was there. Except the Zahara's, just starting to get it ready, and she said, oh, come on in, and she helped out. And so just tonight in that tradition, Eric and I got here about, 4:57. So thanks for everyone who helped bring alcohol, Susanna, and food, all this delicious food, and it all just came together kind of magically, like it always seemed to do at Eric and Zahara's house, and will in the future. So anyway, it's just really good to be with you all to celebrate Zahara. My last kind of back and forth with Zahara was a couple of days before she passed, and she said, "Oh, I hope you get out here, soon." And I said, "Well, I was coming out in mid-April for a conference. I was going to try to get down to D.C." She said, "Please do." So sadly, she's not here to be with us, but kind of experiencing her vicariously through all of you is, I guess honoring that commitment I made to her, and it's just good to celebrate and remember her with all of you. So with that being said, we did invite in our invite an opportunity here if you want to share a poem inspired by or about Zahara, or just a story or a thought, anything. The mic is open, so I would just say kind of welcome anyone to come on up and share anything you have prepared or inspired in the moment to share about Zahara. I have something, but I'm not going to go first.
Susan.
Come on up. No, we have pass the mic. Ladies first.
Fabiana.
Fabiana.
Sorry, I'm not good with the mic. I don't know. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is I just wrote this poem the other day, and you asked for Zahara. I was thinking about it. Okay. I just wrote this poem for Zahara. It was a few days ago, and I had no idea it was going to be in the garden. And it was so, as usual, magical, you know what I mean? And I'm sorry, I'm shy, so if I ruin the poem, I'm sorry. Petals of poetry. Life is still a flower. Dreamers are still avoiding all the daily thorns. We still cannot run from our roots. We still cannot run from our roots, and our trunks mark every cycle we've been through. The garden has bloomed again. Some plants deceased are now blooming in sap within the plants recently sprouted from the chosen seeds. As the petals open, some perfumed, others sublime, the gardener's eyes cannot avoid searching, missing you, reposing flower. The misty dew sprinkles heavenly colors in inspirational forms, in forms of tears. Tiny droplets refract, reflect, and briefly glisten at the warmth of the light you still shine. The garden is now a shrine. Life is still a flower, and time just this breeze playing on the chimes of our hearts.
Thank you, Fabiana.
That was beautiful.
Susan.
Hi, everyone. So I'm not reading something I wrote, but two things I wanted to say, because Zahara has just been coming to me so much lately. One is my son, I have to say, just won a prize for writing a poem. He's a senior in college. And all I thought about was, I want to tell Zahara. It was like, she would love this. The other is that last Saturday and Sunday, I was up in Vancouver talking about food, which is my favorite thing to do. And I went and I was looking through some books, and I picked up this book of poetry. And I went to open it, and I opened, just on, she was there, I opened on one of a poem that's from a series called The Origin of Spices. And I thought, whoa, this is the poem, and I really, she was with me. It's called Allspice. English spice, Jamaica pepper, new spice, clove pepper, pimenta dorica. Though its names are multiple, though the scent vows cloves, nutmeg, ginger, it's not. What it promises, all things to all people. Home in Jamaica, mostly untamed, unplantationed. It's a living. It's trees growing where they will, along fences, in thickets, wherever the seeds passing through bats, through birds, are released. But the berries, The berries make things hard, 50 feet up, snipped by hand with clippers, 50 feet up, then dried green, unripe, into pitted, petite chocolate moons, then raked and turned in the sun, locked into sheds overnight to keep them safe from thieves. Whole, it flavors chocolate, cures meat, cured once, even the dead.